Now, these sorts of items you never ever want to get caught selling. I would just stay far, far away from them. Even using one of the names in a payment notice on any platform out there will get you flagged instantly and will usually get your account locked. Hey, it's Don. Today I wanted to talk about items from specific countries that are banned, embargoed, that you cannot sell. Many people mix these up. Many people are completely unaware of some of these government regulations. Now, this has been brought up a lot to me lately because of Ukraine and some of the regions around there. There's people that are selling things on eBay now to just make money to live on and things like that. So it's been brought up a lot lately, as well as I get the question on Cuba and other areas on the globe also. Now, I'm going to give you a quick story, and then we're going to go look at the actual policy and what strictly to avoid across the board that will keep you out of some big trouble. Not just eBay trouble, but legal trouble as well as possibly criminal trouble. Now, we were in the middle of a $10,000 purchase for a mass amount of product, of merchandise to resell, and I was itemizing it on a PayPal notice so that I could keep track of it tax and business-wise. I use those and I print them off. It got flagged immediately. Right after I sent it, probably within 10 or 15 minutes, our account was locked and we had a security notice from them that was going to be pending until they heard from us. We had to go through a big spiel. I had to show exactly what the merchandise was and the whole works. Now, the word in question was a country name, Iran, and it was for items purchased that were made in England. They were English buttons, uniform buttons from about 1910-20s era. Nothing to do with a current embargo on new or manufactured goods or anything else like that. It was already out of the country. It's been here or in England for the whole time. It never may have been in Iran in the first place. It's legal to have sold what we were trying to purchase, so it was something that, you know, you've got to be leery on. It locked up a $10,000 sale just because of that one word. Now, certain countries like Cuba have been on an embargo list for a very long time. Syria, North Korea, Crimea, and a bunch of those areas out there as well. So there are some major areas that you need to stay away from if you don't want to get yourself in trouble. Now we're in eBay's main section here, customer service embargoed goods policy. It's a policy that's been on eBay for a very long time. There's laws about this, so every site has this same policy. I don't care what site you're selling on. These are government-related issues. You cannot do it no matter what site you're on. Now, it's going into Cuba, Crimea, as we were talking about, North Korea, Republic of North Korea, Iran, and Syria. These countries have been banned, embargoed. You can't sell the items. Now, on eBay, any items from those countries are banned. It doesn't matter if, legally speaking, you may still be able to deal with them. If they were from Cuba, made in Cuba, it doesn't matter at all to eBay. It doesn't matter if it's pre-embargo or anything else like that. Don't list anything from Cuba. Now, there are legal items that you could technically sell. Some of the airlines would have made luggage labels in the United States for stuff shipping to Cuba. Technically, it's not a Cuban-made product. Technically, it would fall into pre-embargo. There's a bunch of stuff like that, like some of the stamps, some of the coins. The process companies, though, that process the funds, like an Apple Pay or something, won't allow stuff like that to go through. So you've got to be extremely cautious. Just stay away from it. Now, these policies also follow along with U.S. government policies. Now, this is from the University of Pittsburgh, but it's the same basic stint that you will find on the U.S. government side. This site, though, goes into reasoning and things like that as well. The University of Pittsburgh actually teaches classes on this sort of thing, so this information is up to date and ready to go. There's a bunch of other issues, places, and things that you have to be concerned about also. Even going farther than that, the U.S. Department of State has a list of companies, businesses in Cuba or that are from Cuba that you would never want to list, put in a title deal business with in any way, shape, or form also. And this is a very extensive list, as you can see. A lot of hotels, restaurants, just things you would never ever think whatsoever would be banned or that you shouldn't deal with. And again, the list is fairly extensive. Hundreds and hundreds of businesses on here. Some that look like they're main companies, some that you've probably even heard of, you shouldn't be doing anything with, mentioning them or anything else like that in correspondence. Now, as I said, our account was locked just for using the word Iran in something. And we had to go through a lot of hoops to get it unlocked, to get the transaction to complete and get our purchase and the whole works. I wouldn't hide or do something thinking you can get away with it. Now, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, we have a military base there. It's technically our property at the present. So some items can be listed without fear or retribution because it has been and still is U.S. government property where the items would have been purchased or mailed through. Again, they would have been pre-embargo and the whole works. Any of the items from the countries that are shown on the embargo list, though, it doesn't matter at all. You can't list them. We personally do run into a lot of items from Cuba. Very specifically, we hang on to them. At some point, they will be sellable, would be my guess. And since many people don't mess with them, when you have them and it's open and available to sell, the prices for those items can go sky high. So whenever we run into them in lots, when we purchase them and there's Cuba items in there, we set them aside. We've got a huge, extensive amount of them. Coins is another example. Sometimes we'll buy a big, huge lot of coins, and there'll be dozens of Cuba ones in there. Paper money, the same thing. Envelopes, postal history items, all full-fledged fine. Some postage stamps from Cuba were printed by the U.S. government, by the U.S. banknote company or the American banknote company as well. Same goes for some of their currencies. So some of the items were actually printed by the U.S. government. Just like some items with, say, World War II German stuff on them, swastikas and that sort of thing, are banned in Germany. Over here, they're pretty much banned as well, but you can sell stamps, coins, paper money, and postal history items from there, even with those sorts of designations on them. So you really have to know what you're doing if it's something on and out of your wheelhouse, so to speak. If it's obviously something here in the U.S., you should be fine to sell it on eBay and the U.S. platform site itself. But if you go and list on any of the foreign sites, if you were listing on Germany, England, or anything else like that, there are laws about exporting certain items. Even here, as I said, any of these embargoed items, if you're listing them on a invoice or what's in there can get that item held up and can get you into some legal trouble. An embargo is a legal binding thing. You can't just ship and think nothing's going to happen. I would never attempt to hide what the item is and still get it listed in different ways or using some funky title just to kind of fool eBay's system, because all it takes is one single person to turn you in, and they don't even have to turn you into eBay. They can turn you into the federal government. The U.S. government has trade regulations, postal regulations, as well as several other departments have regulations related to these banned countries. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth your reputation, and it's not worth getting in legal trouble or drawn into a courtroom just to sell and make a couple extra bucks. Anything from those countries should be off limits, even again if it's legal because of the payment processors or, as in this case here, eBay bans them very specifically. Again, it doesn't matter, and it states that it does not matter if it's from pre-embargo at all. Be safe. Don't be stupid. Follow the rules, and you'll go a heck of a lot farther in this industry right off the bat. Well, there we have it. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
Look. It's the first cough of the cold season.
Oh, my.
See? A scratchy-throated rasper.
Oh, it's very rare.
And look, a blue-beaked hacker. Oh, and it's a big one.
Your first cough this season may be a big one. And that means Vicks Formula 44 Extra Strength Cough Mixture with a cough suppressant as effective as codeine but not narcotic. If you can't get away for the cold season.